Hey everybody, welcome back to Challenge Call of Max and Avery. I'm your host Max.
And I am Avery. How are you guys?
All right, today we are going to be talking about the winningest active head NFL coaches. So these are going to be the NFL coaches that are currently about to coach in this 2024 season that have the most wins. Avery, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, this is my bread and butter. Let's do it. NFL. Finally, here we are.
All right, so starting off at number one, who other than the Chiefs' own Andy Reid with 284 wins?
Yeah, Andy definitely belongs at number one on this list. He deserves everything he's done and everything he's won. 3 Super Bowls. Probably going to win another one by the time he retires, the Kansas City Chiefs, especially with him and Patrick Mahomes, man. Like when he got Patrick Mahomes, he's had great quarterbacks and he's had great offenses like Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, and with Philly, Alex Smith even. But him and Patrick Mahomes just turned it up to a level that you would never have even thought of.
Well, and that being said, how much is Patrick Mahomes and how much is Andy Reid? Because we
That's
have
fair.
that argument all the time when we talk about these offensive coordinators, head coaches, and players. Like credit is everybody's, obviously. It takes a combination of all of them to be able to get the job done. But at the same time, like when you look at all of this, look at his entire record, where do his 3 Super Bowl wins come from? The last 5 years with
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes.
And that's true too. Yeah. And the other crazy part is, isn't it weird when you read off number one, Andy Reid, and it wasn't number one, Bill Belichick? Isn't that strange to you? Doesn't that give off just like a weird vibe? Because like that's my mindset when I'm like, who's the winningest coach right now? Oh, Bill Belichick. Oh wait, he's not the Patriots coach anymore.
Yeah. So this is only active head coaches, which Bill Belichick no longer is. It doesn't feel that weird to me because, I mean, I very much started consuming like NFL regularly in the past 10 or so years. And in the past 10 or so years, it's more so been like the Chiefs with Andy Reid. Like, just look at the Super Bowl, 3 Super Bowl wins those last 5 years. Like, come on. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, Bill Belichick was ahead of Andy Reid. He had 302 regular season wins, along with another, scrolling down to check, 31 wins in the postseason.
that's a lot.
That is a
That's a
lot.
lot. But back since we're talking about active head coaches, back to Reid. He also has the most losses
Does.
in NFL right now, 160 losses. But at the same time, when you've been a head coach for 26 years, you're going to rake up some losses with some wins. So, and I do think the best is still ahead of him. I mean, like, yeah, he was great with Philly, but he never truly hit that potential. And now, like with Kansas City, it's a dynasty. And unfortunately, for people that aren't Chiefs fans, like it sucks because it's like, there's the Chiefs, there's Patrick Mahomes, there's Andy Reid.
So
But
that is my one bitch with always talking about winningest coaches or teams and stuff like that. Is like I don't really care about winningest. Winningest just means how long have you been around and been okay. There is a philosophy out there or a general rule of thumb that says if you coach long enough, or like if you're a truly whatever like coach, if you coach for long enough in the game, you will get closer and closer to 500, or like you will be right around 500. Like that is just the true. If you coach for long enough, every coach at some point, should they go long enough, will probably end up right around 500. Which, if you look at these winning percentages of all these coaches, that rule holds just about true.
yeah,
Now, that is what you have to look at then, though, is winning percentage. Like Andy Reid, most wins, has 284 of them. Great. Also has the most losses. So how do we compare him to any other coaches? Look at the percentages. Andy Reid wins 63.9% of his games. That is the fourth best of current active coaches. So he still gets the nod. He still gets the nod of like, that's a damn good job right there.
for sure. Well, and what's one of the biggest things in the NFL as well? Winning your division. I don't know if it matters. Like, I mean, I think you're onto something with winning percentages and everything, but winning your division. How many times has Andy Reid won his division? 14. The second coach on this list, 8. So, like, if you look at just specifically that, too, that shows that Andy Reid definitely deserves to be where he's at on this list.
Well, and I'll do him one better even. Because I know I was already talking to you about when you do look at percentage, like, okay, what about some young schmo coach who stepped in for 1 year, won 16 games, and has like a 100% winning percent? You can't count that. Typically, what record books and things like that do is they set a minimum. Like, best winning percentage, minimum of 100 games played. So when you look at the top winning percentage by that aspect of minimum 100 games played, Andy Reid is first. Like he has the best winning percentage with more than 100 games played. Because the highest winning percentage has only played 72 games. The second has only played 90 and the third has only played 56.
True.
So they haven't reached that level or that number of games to truly decide like are you truly having an influence on this team that is causing them to win, or are you just kind of like in that situation right now?
Right. Also, Andy Reid's winning percentage. So, like, you brought up something, right? You brought up, like, how much of it is Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and how much of it is Andy Reid. Well, so I'm looking up his winning percentage with the Philadelphia Eagles when he was there. And with the Eagles specifically, he won.
0.583 or
Yep.
58.3%.
Yeah, 58.3%. With Kansas City, 71.5% chance to win every single time, which it breaks down to, his record. So I think, just the talent of Patrick Mahomes, like that shows like, okay, like, yeah, that's why he's where he's at. And do you think he'll catch Bill Belichick at some point with him
And
being at 284?
with just winningest?
Yeah, just like up
Yes.
as Bill Belichick. Coach, what, 2-3 years he'll catch Bill?
Bill is 333
Yep.
and Reid is 284. So what is that difference?
333.
Yep.
That is 49 games.
49 games. So how many games are in a season?
16 or 17.
Plus maybe average at least 2 playoff games with the Chiefs over the next 10 years. Like, at
I'd
least
say
a couple.
4 years if Andy Reid, but is Andy Reid going to coach 4 more years?
That is the question. And
Um,
that's winning every game too, because you have to assume there's going to be some losses in there.
right. That's why I broke it down instead of 3 years, 4 years, because that gives you about average of 12.25 wins every single year. I think the Chiefs can handle that in 4 years. Like they're a great team. Maybe 1 year they're 11-5, and then they go on win a couple games after. 14-2, 14-3 type of seasons. But no, it'll be interesting to see if he can catch that at some point.
The worst season with Andy Reid on the Chiefs is 9-7, his second year there. Ever since they have won 10-6 season 2. But ever since then, they have been 11 wins or higher. So, yeah, you probably got to think as long as he stays in for another 3-4, he can catch up. No problem. That's just a matter of does he want to? Will he be around that long?
For sure.
I kind of think he will be. I don't necessarily think – I don't know what his ambitions are as far as leaving. How old is Belichick?
I don't Bill.
Because Andy Reid is 66 years old. Belichick is 72.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's six years younger. If
True.
he stays in as long as Belichick did, then there you go.
Yeah, that's fair. But so Andy Reid, like everybody kind of knew, number 1 on our list. Who's number 2?
Number 2, we have from the Steelers, Mike Tomlin with, get this, 181 wins. We went from 284 to 181. This is 100 less wins, sitting at 82.
Well, you think about it, though. Mike Tomlin's only coached 18 years, right? Only.
So look at it by game. Yes, he's only played or coached 293 games compared to Andy Reid's 445. So, yeah, that's a lot less opportunities to win.
Yeah. And 18 years compared to his 26 years. You think about that, that's 12 years or 8 years right there. Well, and this goes back to my division thing. Like Mike Tomlin, you know the Steelers are never out of it. What do they call Mike Tomlin? He always gets over 8 wins, right? And it holds pretty true into his career. Like 10-6. He's never had a losing record. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record since he's been a Pittsburgh Steeler. A couple
Well,
of 8 and 8
there
years.
there is no sense about it. He has only ever coached with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's something the Pittsburgh Steelers do really well. I feel like they never changed head coaches. Like Bill Cowher was there for like 15 years, Mike Tomlin 18 years, Chuck Noll like 14 years. They just consistently keep their guy, and I like that. I mean, but when you don't have a losing record, it's hard to fire a guy, right?
Yeah, like what are you getting rid of him for?
Yeah.
Outside of, I see one Super Bowl that was his second year there, and there's not one since. But you do see playoff berths. So,
Yeah.
like they're having chances.
A couple of championships. I mean, like conference titles. He has two, which is tied for second on the list. Mike Tomlin is very interesting because, like, he's a great coach, or he's a good coach, but I don't know if I'd call him a great coach.
Well, and let's go back to that winning percentage question. Like, where does he sit as far as winning percentage goes among these? Because, I mean, he has played a lot less games, which is going to affect things. He is
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6. But if you go by our per 100 game asterisk there, he's actually third.
Sure. Which, I mean, so, yeah, I guess I would say he is a great coach in the NFL right now. I mean, when you're looking all time, maybe not, but like active. Like that's what this video is about, active head coaches.
Yep.
And I think that's where he is.
And this is the biggest thing that I think is interesting with him. Like you said, the Steelers do it well. I think he may or may not be the only coach. I should asterisk this. The only coach that has been in the league for a long time that has only been with one team. Because there are some other guys, but they've only been in for like less than 5 years. So, easy to coach for one team when you've only been coaching for 3, 4, 5 years.
True. That's fair as well. So, and isn't he the second tenured head coach? I think he is the second longest tenured head coach right now.
I don't know. I mean, probably.
Service, yes. Him and Mike McCarthy is tied.
Are they?
18 years, which that's our third guy on our list, Mike McCarthy, Dallas Cowboy.
Well, when you look at games played, him and Mike McCarthy have had the exact same number of games played too. So this is a true like comparison here between those two, because with the same number of games played, Mike McCarthy only has 178 wins compared to Tomlin's 181.
3 off, which, a lot of games. So could you say these guys are very similar? And
they're neck and neck.
Yeah, they're neck and neck. 6. So since we're getting right into Mike McCarthy, we talked about Andy Reid, right? And how Philly, he was solid, but was he better with Kansas City? You could do the flipped roles with Mike McCarthy. Was he better in Green Bay than he has been in Dallas? He does have that one Super Bowl win in Green Bay. That's the interesting dynamic with it. I'm looking at it right now, and it looks like his winning percentage actually in Green Bay is 61.8%. And his winning percentage at Dallas is actually 62.7%.
Yeah. Well, so what's interesting about that with his total win percentage, he's 3 games behind Tomlin while having the exact same number of games played, right?
Yep.
Well, with that winning percentage, that actually drops him. What place is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th. So Tomlin, we said, was in 6. He's down in 10th. Like, he dropped 4 spots with 3 more losses.
It's kind of crazy to think about. And divisions, he is second for winning the division. Unfortunately, most of those came when he was the Green Bay Packers head coach, and he would beat the Chicago Bears quite often. But he also only has 1 Super Bowl. So with that 1 Super Bowl, and that's a common trend that you see besides Andy Reid, is 1 Super Bowl on the resume. One, it's so freaking hard to win a Super Bowl. Let's be honest. And 2, how much of it was Mike McCarthy? How much of it was Aaron Rodgers?
Those are always the questions you got to ask. Once again, it just goes back to how we opened up this episode. Quarterback, coordinator, head coach, who who is the influence, who is doing it. Because you look at like the Eagles head coach, Sirianni, like how good of a season they had and everything. And then he gets rid of both his coordinators, same quarterback, same head coach, minus an offensive coordinator. Look how everything goes to shit. Like you truly just don't know which one of the three is that like key piece holding everything together. And that's Mike McCarthy's biggest like on the hot seat is that just he can't win in the postseason in Dallas. Like his winning percentage when you look at the postseason is 25%. He's won one postseason game that he's been in his 4 or 5 years at Dallas.
Yeah, and that's terrible. Like, and I think that's why he is on the hot seat. Like, we talk about this quite a bit. Are you a regular season player or can you win the championship? And when you think Mike Tomlin, I feel like you think more of yeah, you can win the championship. Like, you never count the Pittsburgh Steelers out. But when you think Mike McCarthy with very similar statistics, you're like, he's just a regular season head coach. But I think it's because what we've seen the last 4 years in Dallas.
Definitely. Now, going into our next guy at number 4 with 172 wins, so only six wins behind Mike McCarthy, John Harbaugh from the Ravens. Now, my question is, how many less games has he played than Mike McCarthy? And he's this close to his about 12.
12.
He's played 12 less games than Mike McCarthy and has 6 less wins. So that actually holds him pretty. Their winning percentage is nearly identical.
Yeah, neck and neck.
61.1 to 61.2.
And this one's interesting too, because I like John Harbaugh and I think he's a great coach. Like, I've always thought special team guy, got an opportunity, be a head coach, and he's been a head coach for a long period of time. He's been coaching, service 17 years at this point. The one thing I noticed that's kind of weak is Baltimore does not win their division as often. Why is that? You know why? Mike Tomlin. Like, you run into the Pittsburgh Steelers. So John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin have had this nice little battle for the last 15 plus years where it's like, okay, who's going to win it this year? But he's only won their conference their division 5 times.
That also being said, though, like you talk about Tomlin always winning 8 games. He's never had a losing season. Harbaugh's had 1. Harbaugh has only had 1 losing season with the Ravens.
What year?
2015, 5-11.
Yeah, well, 2021, 8-9. I mean, technically, you
can. Okay, yeah, that's right. I just saw 8 wins and was like, nope, good.
Yeah, no, but I mean, and you think about the AFC North and why they've been so consistent, and why the Browns and the Bengals kind of were the bottom dweller for a long period of time. It's because these 2 Titans right here on our list, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin. Like, they went through quarterback changes from like Baltimore, Joe Flacco. That's the other thing that we got to talk about too, that we really didn't talk about. Quarterback changes, and position. Like, when you're there for 17 years, that's a whole career. Like, and I mean, we did a little bit with Donovan McNabb and stuff for Andy Reid, but like these guys, Mike Tomlin went from Ben Roethlisberger to Mason Rudolph. Like,
yeah,
and
not
then
a great move.
Kenny Pickett, and now he's got Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. We'll see what he does. But, and then you go John Harbaugh, and you go from Joe Flacco to Lamar. I mean, I feel like out of those 3 coaches, and then I guess Mike McCarthy, you went from Aaron Rodgers to Dak Prescott. Like, out of those 3 coaches, I think John Harbaugh has had it the easiest.
Yes, 100%.
Because you went from Joe Flacco that played like an MVP for a decent part of his career to Lamar Jackson, which is another MVP type candidate. The other guys, they've had a little bit of a struggle.
Not even just a little. Like, Mike McCarthy, you could argue. I think Dak Prescott is a good enough quarterback. He's very talented. Like, I as far as who's at fault, think about it the opposite way. Who is holding them out of the Super Bowl? Who is losing them postseason games? I don't think it has anything to do with Dak. I think a good portion of that goes on McCarthy.
I agree.
But Tomlin, he has truly had it the roughest. You are going from Big Ben to fucking Mason Rudolph. Like,
Kenny Pickett.
Pickett, who's a bust. Just like, that's bad.
And even now, like, the jury's still out on Justin Fields. You got a washed-up Russell Wilson that has not played like himself since Seattle, and the jury's still out on Justin Fields. It's hard for Mike Tomlin, but he still makes it work. I don't know how he does it.
Speaking of
Matt,
a washed up Russell Wilson, the next coach we have on this list at number 5 with 169 wins is Sean Payton, currently at the Broncos.
I
Now,
like.
this is the first coach we've had who's like had a very, very recent change of where he's at. We've talked about Andy Reid, who's been with the Chiefs for a minute now. Tomlin, who's always been with the Steelers. McCarthy's had a good stint with the Cowboys. Harbaugh's always been with the Ravens. Sean Payton, he's only been with the Broncos a year.
Yeah, I mean, well, and then you think about it. I mean, he made his money in New Orleans. Like,
He did.
yeah,
But that's the thing I'm saying is we're officially looking at the first coach on our list who like the reason they're on this list like isn't where they're currently located. I mean, McCarthy and the Cowboys, it's a toss up. He does have a lot of wins from Green Bay, but he's been with the Cowboys for over 5 years now.
true. Yeah, no, that's true. And I didn't even really think about that when I was thinking Sean Payton. With Sean, and we just talked about the quarterback situation, right? Sean went from Drew Brees, amazing talent. He won a Super Bowl with Drew Brees. And then he went to Jameis Winston. Derek, well, no, he didn't even coach Derek Carr. He went from Jameis Winston, sat out for a couple of years, came back to coaching, and here he is. And now he's got Zach Wilson, Ben DiNucci, and Bo
Bo
Nix. Which, I mean, Bo Nix might be the best, but Zach Wilson, Ben DiNucci, and Bo Nix. And
I'm
Jared,
personally hoping for Bo Nix to start and tear it up because I'm a Bo Nix fan. I like that guy. I think he's got some game.
yeah. But it is interesting to see Sean Payton. It won't let me pull up his coaching record in Denver. I can't.
His record in Denver, it's on his Wikipedia page. It is 8-9. He's been
Which
there
is
1 year. It's 8-9.
which is yeah, 8-9. 1 year. That's pretty good. But and then he was 152 and 89 with the Saints and a Super Bowl win. So I think that's just speaks volumes right
For
there.
sure. So winning percentage wise, is he one of the ones that he's actually just below Mike Tomlin? Like he is sitting in 7th with winning percentage, 4th if you go per 100 games
Yeah.
or minimum of 100 games.
And he's also another guy that's coached 275, like 270 plus. So I think he deserves to be right there on the list. The next coach, this is like the weird drop off. There is a massive drop off from these 4 guys. Sean McDermott for the Buffalo Bills, 78 wins. This is surprising to me.
Now, the reason there's a drastic drop off here is because, yeah, we're officially into the younger coaches, younger franchises. Like we're just talking about less games played now. Like how many games total has Sean McDermott even played? He's played over 100. He's at 125.
Yeah.
So he's played a decent amount of games, but with the Bills.
Yeah.
Like
And
the Bills, for the longest time, were not good.
No. And he's turned that franchise around. And I think like you can't think of the Buffalo Bills like, yeah, everybody thinks of Josh Allen when you think of the Buffalo Bills. But the second guy you think of, I think of Sean McDermott. Like he's done a great, great job. He's kind of like that under the skin type, like I'm not gonna ruffle feathers type of coach. And I like that type of coach.
The Bills have been first in the AFC East for the past 4 years now. And like that's what's putting him on this list. Is just like the Bills having turned it around with Josh Allen and everything like that, like winning the division 4 years in a row, appearing in the postseason for the past 5 years. Like he's doing good. 73 wins, like that's nothing to turn your nose up at. Now, when we look at winning percentage wise, he is just under Andy Reid. He's above Mike Tomlin. He comes in at number 5 or number 2 if you go per 100 wins. So he knows how to win. He has a great winning percentage.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I have with Sean McDermott is you said he knows how to win, right? Has he won a Super Bowl?
He is not.
He has not.
They've come as close as to losing the AFC championship.
And how much is that the Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes effect in the AFC, or how much is I can't close out big games?
I don't know if it's necessarily about closing out big games because they've played some pretty fucking big games that they've closed out on. I think to some degree you just have to look at that because let's look at it. So we just said that they've made the playoffs the past 5 years. Who have they lost to? Chiefs, the Bengals when they won it all. Or let's do it this way: Chiefs when they won it all, Bengals when they won it all, Chiefs when they won it all. Chiefs, I think they won it all that year. Can't remember. And
Okay.
then the Texans. The Texans one is kind of the like, ooh, he lost in the wild card round to the Texans. Yikes.
That was his first year, though. I remember
No,
that. Wasn't
no, it
it?
was not.
Or second?
His first year, he lost to Jacksonville.
Okay. Still, I mean, at the end of the day, he hasn't won it yet, but I think this is one of the coaches that will win it in the future.
They're
Like
knocking
his,
on the door.
they're knocking on the door, but that door might start getting closed. Stephon Diggs just got traded, and like Josh Allen still hasn't won. They're gonna have to pay like all these different players. Like I'm nervous that they might not make it back to where they were when they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs in overtime, and they came down and they scored and they won. Unfortunately,
Yeah, they might have. Well, and that's the thing too. You want to say he doesn't know how to win the big one or doesn't know how to close a game. Arguably, with those old overtime rules and stuff, like he didn't get the chance to.
true. That's fair. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's true. But the reason I asked why if he couldn't win the big one is because the next guy on this list, Sean McVay, very very similar. Very one's an offensive guy, one's a defensive guy. Of course, Sean McVay, very offensive minded. They played very very similar games, one less. Sean McVay's
They've
coach.
won similar games. He has
They've
one less win than him.
right, but I'm saying Sean McVay's coached one more game than Sean McDermott has.
Oh, he actually has too.
Yeah,
So Sean
126.
McDermott has played one less game, but won one more game. Sean McVay has played one more game, but has one less win than Sean
Right.
McDermott. Crazy.
Which is strange, but I also you got to take in fact. Remember COVID when coaches had to sit out. I think that's where that one game came. I remember Sean McDermott having to sit out.
I'm gonna guess the one game is actually coming from not making the playoffs one year, because when you look at Sean McDermott, they've been to playoffs like so many years, and when you look at Sean McVay, they have one more year that they did not make the playoffs compared to the Bills.
That could be as well, but also Sean McVay. What has he done that Sean McDermott hasn't done?
Won a Super Bowl.
Won
Won
a
it all.
Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl. So when you look at this list, I mean, I know we're just ranking like the top 10 active winningest coaches, but I think Sean McVay's a better coach. I mean, you won a Super Bowl. Yeah, I know AFC championships, that's great. AFC divisional rounds, that's great. But I'd rather have won a Super Bowl in my time there than I have, at the
That's
end of the
fair.
day.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things of like, who do you want to be as a team? Because you can look at it like, hey, I won a Super Bowl. All right, and then what'd you do the next year? You didn't go. Okay, what'd you do the year after that? You lost in the wild card round, and you didn't win your division either of those years either. Like, so do you want to win the big one and then just kind of like be a football team, or do you want to be like the best you are in the AFC East? Like Bills past 4 years straight, AFC East champs. Like they are contending every like divisional round, championship round, divisional round. Whereas like the Rams, yeah, you won it all, but also like because this is cool because we have the exact same 2017 to 2023 on both of these guys. The Bills have competed a lot more for it, a lot higher, and has been finishing better in division. The Rams have not, but they do have the one Super Bowl. So it's like, which one are you truly going after more?
I'll tell you why, though. The main reason is because of the San Francisco 49ers and their division, the NFC
Sure.
West. The Buffalo Bills, who do they have in their division? The Miami Dolphins?
Yep.
Eh, eh. They're not going to compete. I mean, they will, but they won't. The New England Patriots on a decline of a loss of Tom Brady and like the last couple of years of Bill Belichick? No. The New York Jets that drafted the wrong quarterback in Zach Wilson that went through troubles. Of course, the Bills won their division every single year. But on the other side, you got another damn good head coach in Kyle Shanahan that has George Kittle, that has hit on their quarterback in a late round in Brock Purdy. You got Brandon Ayuk. You got Debo Samuel. You got a monstrous defense. Of course, the Rams haven't won their division every single year. So, I mean, that's my
Sure.
perspective.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can look at competition level, but how often do we talk about even college teams or other NFL? Like, what does competition level matter? Like, we're Iowa fans, right? We're super proud to play in the Big Ten championship when we win the Big Ten West. The Big Ten West ain't shit. We're not competing with anybody. But does that take away from Kirk Ferentz' 8-win Iowa like record in and out every season? No, it's about the record.
But at the end of the day, as well, it's about winning championships. And the NFL, it's a little different than college because any team can win a championship in the NFL. You can't say that about college football.
No.
Iowa, like, there's like a 1% chance Iowa could ever win a national championship. In the NFL, there's like a 3% chance, 5% chance, even if you were the worst team the year prior, that you could make the playoffs. And because everybody's a professional, everybody's on the very same or close to the same skill set. That's why I'm saying, like, I think I'd rather have taken the one Super Bowl win than like winning my division that I'm in a weak division anyways.
So as a Bears fan, you're satisfied with our 1985, 4, whatever Super Bowl win, and
I
like
think
that's good to you. You just
no.
you
Okay.
don't want to be consistently good over the years. You're happy with that
Okay.
win, and you're just gonna move on with your life.
I think there's a 10-year limit, right? There's a 10-year age gap. Like I like the Saints, right? The Saints won the Super Bowl in 2009. If I was a Saints man right now, I'd be pissed off because it's like it's been forever. Same as a Chicago Bears fan. 1985, we haven't won a Super Bowl. We win in 2006, but lost. I'm pissed off. I'm ready for a Super Bowl win. But if I was, let's say, who was it? A few
Cowboys.
years.
Use the
No,
Cowboy. Always there, always losing, like never
always
actually
there,
making it.
always losing. I think I would even be pissed off at the same time, or even the Bills. But if I was, let's say, who was it that won a few years? The Eagles, right? They won. They won in 2017. I'm not pissed off yet because I've been to one. I've been to the playoffs regularly. I lost one, but I'm not pissed off. Like we've won in the last 10 years. But I get where you're coming from. But I think you got to put like that 10-year limit, 10-year stipulation on it.
There is a little bit of a gap. Now, the big question will be in the next 5-10 years coming up for both of these teams, does Buffalo get there? But let's say next year Buffalo wins the Super Bowl, I think this whole argument is invalidated. I'd rather be fucking Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree. How great would it be, because this very well could happen, especially if the Rams stay healthy, that we get a Rams-Bills Super Bowl, and that could just be the deciding factor. Okay, who's the better coach?
You're like,
And then
all
we
right,
can
here
come
you
back
go.
to this podcast and be
Head to
like,
head right now. Let's go. All right. Well, let's get into our next coach here. At number 8, you already mentioned him. He's another member in that NFC
West.
whatever with the Rams. I forget. Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers. He has 72 wins. These 72 wins come off of 127 games played. So that's quite a bit of games. He's actually got he's got a 56.7 winning percentage. So
Yeah.
not great.
Well,
I mean, it's above 500.
He's had a couple of years that he hasn't had the best team when he first started. Yeah, so he's went 6-10 his first year, 4-12 his second year in 2018. That was the CJ Beathard year, if you remember.
Oh, yes.
And then the 2020 COVID year, it was 6-10. But other than that, he's been pretty consistent. NFC Championship in 2019, NFC Championship in 2023. The 49ers are very similar up and down to the Rams. And the reason why his winning percentage is lower is because Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan beat up on each other. I mean, that's just how it is. Like we already mentioned it. They beat up on each other. Number 8's probably perfect for him on this list. I just like what he's done as a coach. Like getting the most out of Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Like that speaks volumes, right? George Kittle drafting him in the fourth round and producing him to being the second best tight end in the NFL speaks volumes. His defense is always ready to play and ready to rock. Probably the most physical defense in the league. His run game's one of the most physical run games in the league. I like Kyle Shanahan for this aspect. The only bad thing is he has not won a championship.
No, but he's getting close. Like I was just gonna say, when you look at it, lost in the Super Bowl game, lost in the NFC Championship game to the team that won it all, lost in the NFC Championship game to, I think, did the Rams win it in 2021?
Yeah.
So to the team that won it all once again.
Yeah.
So like, there you go. Like they're getting closer and closer. The past 3 years, they've appeared in the championship game, with one of those years winning it and moving on to the Super Bowl, being last year the most recent. They're only 1 year out. Like you talk about, we could get a Bills Rams Super Bowl. Like, yeah, we could, but we'll probably much more likely get a Bills 49ers Super Bowl, if anything. I mean, look at who the 49ers are just like returning with. Look at what they're working. Like they are stacked. They've got Kyle Shanahan, who everyone like just sees as a super talented, good head coach. And one sec, I want to pull up McVay's and McDermott's thing again, because going off this winning percentage mentality, we're looking at totals. So McDermott, 45.5% postseason. McVay, okay, 63.6% postseason. Forgot the word. Now we look at Kyle Shanahan, 66.7% in the postseason.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan, when it really matters, is the best coach out of those three. But
in theory, yes.
In theory. But Sean McVay has the ring.
Sean McVay does have but that's the thing too, is I was going to mention is like, let's recap our list a little bit here. Andy Reid, first place. Then you back up 100 games. You have Mike Tomlin, Mike McCarthy, John Harbaugh. Those three are all kind of right there, neck and neck. Sean Payton's kind of right there too. You have those four in that 100 games area. Drop down another 100 games. Now you have McDermott, McVay, and Shanahan, all right there in the close 70s, been coaching the exact same time as each other. Like, I just love the comparison of these three. Like, in 15, 20, 30 years, I don't know. Don't actually math me on that. But these three might be the three we're talking about at the very top of this list, just neck and neck right there.
I agree. I think you're right. Let me ask you something. Out of these three teams and the state of that these three teams are right now, what's the next team to win a Super Bowl out of
49ers? I already said that.
Okay.
I literally just said that.
Who's the second?
I want to say Bills, but losing Diggs is like going to hurt them hard. So like, I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, and it's so up and down with Matt Stafford, and like if he's going to be healthy,
it's up and down with Stafford. But I mean, even Cooper Kupp was hurt a lot last year, and Puka Nacua had to grow a lot. So I do think that Nacua and Kupp together, on like with Stafford throwing him the ball, I do think that is going to be a deadly combination. So I think I just talked myself into saying Rams number 2.
Okay, there we go. All right, and it does line up to your like winning percentage in the playoffs, though. Because if you think about it, Kyle Shanahan has the highest, Sean McVay has the second, and McDermott's at third. So, I mean, it does line up.
That is true. Moving on to our number 9, we've got Doug Peterson, Jaguars.
Yeah, I like this one, man. Doug has been coaching 8 years. He's older than the three guys we kind of talked about, but he just didn't get his start right away. This one's interesting because he's only coached 8 years, but he's coached 2 different franchises. Like
he's only been with the Jags for the past 2 seasons. The 5 seasons, is it 5? Yeah, 5 seasons prior to that, he was with the Eagles. And to your point of winning the big one, he does have that ring. He has won a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard because like, how much of that was just a magical year? Like you think about that. That was the Nick Foles year when they just went on that magical run, ended up winning it against the Patriots, and Doug Peterson was on top. Like it's one of those. It's like, I don't know how to like decipher that championship with everything else.
Well, I mean, you make that argument with the like I essentially was making a very similar argument with the Rams and having a Super Bowl, and you were like, "Nah, you win the big one. You won the big one." I mean,
It's fair.
it's very, very similar here. 5 years, 3 playoff appearances, won the Super Bowl, lost in the divisional round the year following, lost in the wild card round. Like that's essentially the same argument I was trying to make with the Rams. Like, okay, like, do you accept that one win and then you tail off a bit, or do you actually keep rolling it?
Well, and I think you're right. I mean, you're right, but I still think the Super Bowl means more. In my perspective, the Super Bowl still means more. But it's a little different because he's with a different team now.
He is. He has
So
changed
he has to do it again, right? Which I mean, for being the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, 9-8 and 9-8 is not that bad. I mean, that's a pretty decent year.
He was first place in the AFC South his first year as well and lost in the divisional round. So, like, that's a little bit of a credit, you know, like you got a playoff berth in that very first year, and we'll see what happens again this next year. But even his overall winning percentage, he's 53.1%. And that's with the Eagles included, with just Jacksonville, 52.9. So essentially the exact same.
Yeah. And I mean, I think time will tell with Doug Peterson because, like, he was able to progress Carson Wentz, and he made a magical run with Nick Foles. What have you done with Trevor Lawrence? Like, that's gonna be the nail in the coffin is his tenure in Jacksonville. If Trevor ends up as a bust in Jacksonville, like he's probably gonna be out of a job.
Yeah, which who is Jacksonville's backup that they have for Trevor if he were to go down? Or Mac Jones.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
or CJ Beathard coming in third string.
Yeah. So I mean, I know CJ started like 2 games last year. He won one of them and lost the other, but it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, I think Doug Peterson's kind of perfect at that number 9 on this list. I mean, he's a good coach. I don't know. I mean, when you're ranking off NFL head coaches, I think I would put him at number 9, number 10.
Yeah, he's not bad. He gets the job done, but yes, I agree. Like he is. I mean, we're talking about 65 wins right now. Hasn't been in a super long time for a super long time. He has played at least 100 games though. He's played 122 games. So only 65 wins, 122. Like you are starting to like not look as great as you're kind of coming down the list. Just thinking about how we started at nearly 300 wins. Granted, there's a time aspect, but
I was gonna say, like, where does he rank per 100 games?
On the winning percentage?
Yeah, on the winning percentage.
Let me see. He ranks on the per 100 games 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th.
Oh.
Yeah, no, not great. Like,
no,
really,
no.
Not great. Now, this being said, let's get into our last slot here that we're going with. Number 10, I hate to say it, Matt LaFleur with the Packers has 59 wins. Only guy in the 50s in our top 10 list. So he's down there. He has the least. It's nothing crazy to gawk at. But he does have 59 wins. 3 of those are postseason. 56 of those are regular season. His winning percentage is 67.5%, but he has only played 90 games. So he has the second highest winning percentage, but only 90 games to prove for it. So it's one of those things where, like, okay, you got to asterisk it a little bit. Because what if the Packers come out this season and go 5-11,
Sure,
or 5-12, and then it's kind of like, okay, you reached your 100 games, but also your winning percentage just shot down.
That's true. And you know what's surprising, right? You think Matt LaFleur, you think the Green Bay Packers beating up on the NFC North, right? He hasn't. I mean, how long's he coached? 8 years now? 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 years. He's only won the division twice.
3 times.
Twice. Oh, 3 times. My bad. 3 times. So, all right, I guess 3 in 5 years.
That's pretty good.
I was reading it as 2, and I was like, okay, that's not. I mean, only won it twice. But yeah, I guess never mind. disregard on that.
Disregard everything we just tried
Yeah.
to say. No, this is one of your. This goes back to your side of things. Of okay, past 5 years, you've won the division 3 times. You've been in the playoffs 4 times. Yet you have no Super Bowl ring to show for it. So this starts to go back to your argument, comparing to the Bills, kind of a little bit of always knocking at the door, but are you ever going to win the big one?
True. And his winning percentage in the playoffs, 42.9%.
Yep.
Not great.
Not the best.
Not the best at all. So, well, we got one more name on this list.
So I wanted to save this name for last. We did our top 10. Those are your top 10 winningest active head coaches in the NFL. But surprisingly, coming in at number 11, I had to throw this in here because it is Jim Harbaugh with 49 wins. What? Michigan's Jim Harbaugh, you say? He's not like, yes, in the upcoming 2024 season, he is going to once again be an active NFL head coach. And he was a previous head coach of the 49ers. So he is on this list, and he indeed comes in at number 11 of winningest active head coach in the NFL. Now, another fun thing I want to point out with that is his winning percentage is first. He has the best winning percentage of all the active head coaches. Now, he has not played 100 games. He has only played 72 games in his time with the 49ers. So there is that asterisk there. But I had to mention this despite it was outside of the top 10 because I thought it was hilarious how he just came back this year and he's already just right there knocking on the door for our list.
Dude, imagine if he would have never went to Michigan. Imagine where he would be. Would he be Andy Reid-esque? I don't think he would be Andy Reid-esque, but I think he'd be Mike Tomlin, or like maybe not Mike. I think he would be Sean Payton-esque.
The problem with that is Andy Reid started in 1999.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin, you might be onto something with Mike Tomlin. He could be close there because he started 2007. So, I mean, he started with the 49ers in 2011. So, yeah, your closest bet that you're looking at is probably
his brother, John Harbaugh.
Yeah, well, John Harbaugh, he started about the same time as Tomlin, didn't he?
2008.
Yeah, so 1 year off of Harbaugh. I was thinking more like Sean Payton, maybe.
When did he start?
Or did he start? No, he started 2006. I was looking going down the list, but that's just because they're starting to win less games as you go down the list. But
yeah, but no, it will be interesting to kind of see where Jim Harbaugh can win. But did he win the big one in the NFL? No.
Now,
but he did in college.
He won the big one in college, so we definitely know that he knows how to win. But yes, in the NFL, he did not win the big one. Now, he was only in the NFL for 4 years.
And he did go to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
He lost the Super Bowl against his brother in 2012. So, I mean, like, he does know how to win the big one just at the collegiate level. We'll see if he can transcribe this into the NFL.
Yeah, it's great. Looking at his story, he voluntarily left 49ers, right? He didn't get fired.
Yeah, he voluntarily
left. Just looking at the 4 years he was there, it's kind of a funny picture because the first 2 years, they won the NFC West. That first year, he played in the NFC Championship game, lost. Second year, played in the Super Bowl, lost. The third year, they got second in the NFC West, played in the championship game, lost. And then that fourth year, he's third in the West, doesn't go to the playoff, and he leaves. He's done. He's like, fuck this.
I'm done. I'm going to Michigan. Okay, I do want to mention one more person on our list. Matt Eberflus.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
we had to throw in Eberflus just to say, all right, Chicago Bears. Obviously, you see the jerseys. What we got to be able to talk our Bears a little bit. Where is he at? He has won 10 games of 34. That is a winning percentage of 29.4.
No playoff appearances.
No
Super Bowl. No conference wins. He's only been coaching for 3 years. Yeah. He's pretty bad.
You do have to asterisk it a little bit. Like, yes, you say no appearances, no Super Bowls, no nothing. Whatever. Also, he's only been coaching for 2 years. You can't count this. You can't count this year because it hasn't happened yet. He's only been coaching for 2 years. Like, you're not going to make a playoff appearance or win a Super Bowl or whatever, blah blah blah. Like on a team that's down bad, that's having head coaches this you just popped in, I'm not going to turn my nose down at not making a playoff, and you've only been an NFL head coach for 2 years.
Yeah.
That being said, look at the record change. They went 3-14 his first year, then they went 7-10. Like
Yeah.
they won 4 more games. They made a significant improvement. They finished last in the North still, but now look at the situation you're in this upcoming year, and he potentially has the ability to change that record and make him at least 500.
Right. And at the end of the day, too, like this is what a complete rebuild looks like, right? Like this is like you hit the bottom of the barrel, you're the worst team in the league, and you slowly climb up. And in the Bears perspective right now, 7 wins from 3, that's impressive. That is like a 4-game jump.
Working with most of the same pieces, or like the same quarterback, I should say. Like, yes, you add DJ Moore. That was a great, increased potential that we got out of that, and the trade with the Panthers and stuff in general. But like working with Justin Fields, like that's not a quarterback change. That's not like the change we're about to go through this upcoming season with a new quarterback, signed on receivers, like etc. Yeah. That is with Justin Fields both times.
Also, I mean, his winning percentage is second to last of like coaches that have not, like there's 4 that haven't even coached as a head coach yet, but second to last the actual coaches that have coached a game. But I think it'll climb up this year, man. I do. I see a 10-win season from us, at least.
And you almost have to think about it a little bit like, yes, he's second to last in winning percentage, but also if you still think about it from that kind of games played mentality, like he's only played 34.
Yeah, that's true.
The person below him has played 17. And if you look at the rest of that, like, let me sort by games played. He has not the lead. Okay, Antonio Pierce has only played 9 games. Interesting. Played meaning coached in.
He was the intern head coach.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 4 people below him as far as games played. And one of those has a worse winning percentage. So to some degree, that rule works the opposite way too. Yeah. Coach long enough, your record will probably be right around 500, assuming you don't absolutely suck and just lose constantly.
And I was gonna say, if your prediction was 11, mine was 9, right? When we went through the Chicago Bears, stuff, right? What would his winning percentage be if we meet in the middle and we say we go 10-7, right, this year? That would be 10 more wins, so he'd have 20 wins, and he'd have 31 losses.
You have to go just total. So if he had, you said 20 wins?
20 wins.
That's 10. Oh, we just split the middle. I see what you're saying. So, yeah, that'd be 20 wins, and then so if you, what would that be, 55 games?
51 games.
51 games. So 20 wins divided by 51 games. That'd be 39.2%.
Which would put him at he would jump one person. But I mean
a 10, and you got to look at it. What is almost dead even? True. 9-8, 8-9. So you say, all right, let's have you go 10-7. That in itself is very, very close to 500. You're not going to jump crazy from that. He would need to go, if he wanted to actually get to 500, he would need to go 15. No, he would need to go 16 and essentially 2, losing a playoff game.
Okay.
16-2, losing the first round of the playoffs would put him at 500.
I don't think that's happening. But
first of all, if you win 16 games, you better not fucking lose. You probably don't. Yeah, the divisional round, because you probably don't even go to the you're getting the first round bye.
You better not lose.
You better not lose the divisional round. And then 2, I just don't think we're gonna win 16 games.
No, not at all. But yeah, I like this episode, man. It was a good episode.
Yeah, that went a little long. Thanks for watching the video. That is your top 10 most winning active NFL head coaches, including our bonus Jim Harbaugh sitting there at number 11. Keep tuned, guys. We've got more videos coming. We are in the middle of our highest paid coaches series. We've done head coaches. We've done offensive coordinators. Next up, we're going to be getting to defensive coordinators. We'll have some other stuff coming out too as we think of more video ideas. But, like, subscribe, and just keep following along.
All right, guys. All I got to say is bear down.